It's not about spaceships.
Hello, I am Jason Ward, and to my right or my left, I cannot tell the difference, is Rob.
In the belly of the boomers.
The belly of the boomers? What is that? Is that the Mall of America?
This was a place in like a family fun center thing they built in the 90s and in El Cajon, but it called Boomers. Even then I was like, Dad, it's made for you. But it was a decent place. I prefer the original 70s one that they plowed over to make a freeway. There was a family fun center in El Cajon when I was a kid. I had a water slide and it looked, like 70s chintzy stuff.
I have been there. I think I've been there.
Yeah, if you were in Southern California in the 80s, you went to that family fun center for certain. The Boomers wasn't as cool, but it was called Boomers.
Boomers.
Which, even as a kid, I was like, Boomers. Like you, Dad? And he's like, fucking shut up, kid. They did have Daytona, USA. The full sit in the car 60
one.
frames per second. And that's the first time I realized, what is this? Why is the frame so smooth? What is this? And the kid working there was like, so it's running at 60 frames per second. I was like,
that's serious, man.
He's like, so your Game Boy runs at 60 frames per second. I was like, what?
Does it really?
Can it do? Yeah, it does. Yeah, the Game Boy runs at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah, I saw this video from Angry Video Game Nerd one time, and he was talking about how he's trying to film things and with frame rates and stuff, he'd start losing footage and weird things when he was trying to record the games, because of all of those strange oddities that happen when you try to mess with that stuff.
Did you see them trying to cancel him last week?
No, I've seen them try to cancel him about 10 times. Good thing he's not on.
The silliest
he's
shit
not
I've
by
ever heard.
our Star Wars Leaks, the official sponsor of the Making Star Wars show.
Yeah,
Culturally
our Video Game Nerd Leaks was trying this. So it's funny. So apparently he handed over the production of his stuff to a company. Like he licensed Video Game Nerd to a different company. They handle all the production. They help him write the jokes, and then he just plays a character because he's tired of fucking doing that shit all by himself.
Yeah.
And so the YouTubers are like, "Cause you're not doing it as a one-man show. You cancel the show. You're not doing it the hardest way imaginable like we are now, so you shouldn't exist." Yeah.
Yeah, if that's why you love the show, just don't watch it anymore. It's just like that easy. Just don't watch it.
Nothing they ever watched was made by one person. Even Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Nothing. So it's just I mean,
not in that instance, but I mean, I understand sort of preferring that indie kind of thing of it's not behind a corporation, it's just some guy and he's doing his thing and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like he is that guy. It's a character. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when people don't get that, it's if you and I were to go hang out at the mall at Boomers right now, our jokes would be a hell of a lot more offensive. But it's like when you're on camera or doing something, it's not like that's even real anyways for the most part.
Even Howard Stern always sat behind a network. I don't understand this concept. You do it by yourself because you have no other choice. If at some point you can get help and not lose the integrity of your product, that's the real question. Are you losing the vibe? If he shows, there's a podcast I listened to called Gaming Steve back in 2005, and he was this independent game developer, and it was really good. One day, he decided to pay a big band to do an intro. And so the intro starts up, and I was like, dun, 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 dun. Dude, it's a 20-person big band. Gaming Steve. And I sat in my room like, the fuck is this? I've never heard a podcast have a 20-man Ricky Ricardo band.
Yeah.
And it just was and he got the guy to do all these intros, and now gaming, and when he'd do a new section, it'd be dun 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 Gaming Steve News.
That's literally what you're describing is what it's like for Wayne and Garth after Wayne's World, and then it cuts to them and they're like, oh hi.
Yeah, you're right. That actually a guy did that to himself, and it's funny, man. So,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and it's like you don't really know. I guess in your head you're like, oh, I need something more. I want it to be better. Yeah, and I understand like wanting to like grow your stuff, make it look better. You know what I mean? Improve the craft and all that kind of stuff. But baby steps, right? When if it's working, baby steps.
And this was before there was like real social media updates. I just downloaded a new episode. His initial theme song was like a Pac-Man sound, ranking, 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 ranking. And then all of a sudden,
Lucy, I'm home. Yeah,
we should. It'd be like one day letting Max put on the greatest fucking show ever, but we don't tell anyone we're starting the show that way. Like,
yeah. No, I mean, no, that's how I feel about like when you like mess with After Effects. Like I started like when I was trying to make like show intros for this. I was like, yeah, then there's fucking flames and it says like Star Wars and making, and then like this cold wind blows in and then it's frosted and and it's like, nah, it takes too long. It takes too long to like, yeah, it's like,
it doesn't inherently look better. I find when I get my news from stuff, I want something that's as low tech as a 70s, like looking, I just want just a few people. Doesn't need to be that perfect, because the minute, you've been to those YouTubers that had like a studio and had some money behind it with the big setup and all the cameras, and it's like the more you do that, the less you feel you're getting an opinion. Like we do have to be careful what kind of opinions we give, because
and I would even throw it out there. Like I think one of the best shows that ever did that was what are they called? They were called Black Series Rebels, and it was like two dudes and their buddy, and they built the set, rented a space for their own set. Like it looked really nice, and like they did like a good ass job, real opinion and stuff like that. And I get like 3,000 or 4,000 views, like at tops, generally speaking. And it was just like, what is wrong with the world? You know what I mean? It was
the world wants.
I felt so bad for them, because they could have just hung out in front of their coffee table and probably been as successful. But those guys worked their ass off and did a good job. And it sucks when you don't see that rewarded. I think they're a podcast now though. So if anybody ever dug that, they should definitely check out their podcast.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's the people, when they see Good Morning America, they want Good Morning America. Like, it's the last fucking thing I want to ever sit through. So,
right.
It's not like I like the Stern Show back in the day. Now I don't listen to as much just because I don't. Once Eric the actor died, I was like, the show lost its villain. But
yeah,
the greatest villain ever. But the E Show I did not like. I was like, that isn't the show. That's like the E Show is something where they took something and made a thing that doesn't even cover the whole subject that's occurring on the E Show. Like they would have a whole thing where Gary would be late for work for an hour, but the E Show would cover some stripper chick coming in that day. And you're like, that's not the show. The show was Gary not showing up for the fucking hour and everyone else came to work. Like, that's the show. Like, but
yeah. I watched it and it was not as good as the radio show by far, but yeah, so what StarWars.com needs to do is they need to just start going all out real, like Gary Kurtz and that beard. What was it about?
What if they put Kurtz and Marsha on, right?
Yeah.
Kurtz!
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Kurtz would be weakened at Bernie'sing that shit.
No, we have CGI now, right?
Right.
Like, Lucas can pretend to be Kurtz. He can...
One night,
the Ugg mask, but it's Kurtz.
Lucas got Kurtz super wasted and was like, "Hey, you want to talk about stuff?" And he's like, "Ooh, he's gonna ask me to come back and do Star Wars again." He gets him drunk and he gets him to sign it over his likeness. And
we can do Rick McKurtz.
Rick McKurtz.
And it's like, oh my god, I'm Kurtz.
Rick McKurtzum.
McKurtzum so bad.
Oh god, I did a bunch of coke and I made the best Empire Strikes Back ever. And then I shaved my mustache and kept the beard. You know why. Yeah.
Liam Neeson's like, I do know why. I'd rather I not.
I'd rather not. But yeah, man, we had an interesting week. I was on at the Mando set today. It was super quiet. I took some stuff, but I'm not going to show it because it was dead. It was, not very different than what had been going on. I'm not positive. Yeah, I'm just going to say it like that. I'm not positive what's going on, but I wonder if they just sort of took the week off
with the strike thing,
with how things were like looking and stuff like that, and just like said like, I wonder if they got things ready to be closed up and just, did that. Jesse says he's in the wings. Good thing I looked at that. Oh, look at it. How's it going? It's ASMR Jesse. Hello, down low. Hello. Not only is his camera high, his voice is low.
He's standing straight up. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. How about that?
Good.
A little better.
And then as soon as you come on, I'm like, hey, how about I put the biggest quote in the world up?
Oh, just like always.
So, yeah, Mr. Scott was saying some people think the most important thing in that is the editing and good sets, but I feel most people want to hear authentic opinions and solid news. Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, like when I had the old pod that I was doing, there were times when we just recorded it on a tape recorder or, like our phone or something. And then there were times when like it was running through compressors and shit. All that, it didn't really make a huge difference in terms of engagement or anything at all. It matters to sound good though. But
there's a show I started watching with the wife called Only Murders in the Building. You familiar with this?
Oh yeah, the Steve Martin show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm not spoiling the fucking show, but there's some narration that Steve Martin gives in the
really quickly. Do they shoot cans? Because if they shoot cans, I'm really into it.
Sort of. Okay. But in the front of the show, that he gives some narration, and then later on in the show, he's trying to turn that into like the podcast voice, and he's doing it as an actor, and he's like, no, and they're like, and like that's a really good example of trying to put on, a voice versus just talking. I think like it's tough when you just talk naturally because, as we found out with myself, you cannot finish sentences sometimes, right? Like you do that thing when you're talking with your friends, or like the movie Hurly Burly where you
can't talk through all the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cocoa Puffs is a motherfucker, bro.
Try that Cocoa Puffs test. That's good.
And I don't mean the drugs. I mean like the fucking cereal.
I thought you were talking about the strain. I thought you had some new strain out there in Idaho or something called Cocoa Puffs.
So
chopping it up with your ID.
In the 90s, I had a close family member, and someone told me they're on Cocoa Puffs, and I'm like, how much fucking cereal does one have to eat to be fucked up? And they were like, no, you
whole
idiot.
Bag, bro. The whole bag.
I don't know, like, because I'm like, I remember I ate a box once and threw up, like, so, but I didn't get like delirious or have mental. So
I just got fat. Yeah.
When you shave, do your kids freak out? Because I did it and my dog barked at me. Like,
yeah, I got
see me without.
He's like, smells like Rob, but don't look like Rob.
Yeah. Why would he take all his fur off?
Yeah. I should do it to him. Just shave his muzzle hair off, right?
I had the thing today where I'm like, I like trimmed my beard, whatever, and I'm like, I shaving my head, and then I get a fucking nick, and the nick ran in between where my beard connected to my side hairs, and I'm like, this looks stupid. So then I go down lower, and then I'm like, fuck. By the end of it, I'm like Walter White.
You'd see guys trying to save money in the military, and they would try to do that, and they show up and they got gashes all over their fucking head.
That's what I look like right now, pretty much.
You just say that you're doing the Lobot cosplay.
Yeah,
you need the Bo Derek dreads, dude. Like, he's got Bo Derek dreads in that issue. You gotta look.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's the craziest. I'm like, I want that figure now, and I want with like you can like twist. It's got that little slider in the back of the figure where you do this, and he can go.
I want the really awkward
Happy Meal toy.
where Leia is on the Falcon with Lando, and then she comes out in cornrows to impress him. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting
Theft
for.
Hondo.
Dang, girl,
And he's like, Leia, I don't think that's really working for you.
Yeah, that's appropriation.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to be honest. I'm a little weird about the appropriation stuff, in the sense that it's really embarrassing when somebody does it, like when that white kid shows up with an afro all of a sudden, and it's like, what is this?
Marsha from Brady Bunch shows up in the movie.
Yeah, but it's like
she made a friends with RuPaul and thinks that she can just.
But I mean, but like I just feel like at the same time, if you overthink it, you do kind of end up culturally gatekeeping influence out. You know what I'm saying? Like if some great, let's just make up let's make up the who has hair in Star Wars, the Bothans land on over here, and they start colonizing Earth, and we become friends with them, and they have the greatest hairstyle ever. We're like, hey, I want to have that Bothan do. And then you got to do it. Then you're like, oh, cultural appropriate. And it's like, But at the same time, the thing we were talking about, the woman who was doing the mockery, the Native American dance, that's
like gonna end up in The Simpsons or Family Guy, right? That dance is so fucking crazy, and it goes on for the better part of fucking 4 minutes. Like it's the craziest.
Yeah, I'm like, is that a wild ass crazy Karen who's like out of control, or oops, where did my camera go? Or is she like manic and like having an episode, and unfortunately it's everywhere.
It could be both.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll take D, all of the above.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah. It's
well, it was
fun. I had a boss, a great boss. She was really, really cool, but boy, did we have a couple of fun days when things did not go right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so what were we talking about? We're talking about Star Wars. It's a Star Wars show, right?
Is it?
I think I just want to end on that comment. I think the trick is when you're trying to stereotype any culture to say, here's my interpretation of what you are. Like that's kind of the real problem where you're like, I'm gonna dress up like a quote unquote Mexican for Halloween. Like don't
Jamaican,
ever do that.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Right. Like when the problem is racially motivated stereotypes, that then it's like in that movie Murder by Death, where Peter Sellers is playing the Charlie Chan white guy dressed up as an Asian man stereotype, but he has also an Asian American son who speaks in a perfectly fluent Southern California accent.
That sounds hilarious.
And he's wearing UCLA, and it's just that contrast. You can see, here's your fucking stereotype, here's how that works. But if it was just a Charlie Chan thing, then you're like, fucking don't ever do that.
I can't believe how long Mickey Rooney's got along. He did that, in Breakfast at Tiffany's is what it was.
Oh, right.
He was the Asian guy.
Yeah. Like all of that shit's all fucked up. Or, those kinds of characters. I had a friend in when I started American Studies, and we started together. And if you're from the South, you are much more familiar with, in our generation, with like minstrel shows and stuff like that. When I had never heard of that at all. I never even saw blackface actually, like in any way, other than at antique stores when I don't even know if that's actually considered blackface, but like the really weird like Aunt Jemima kind of like characters, like artifacts from the past that are terrible. And but this one dude went as who was the guy who had the grill who'd go, yeah, is that Little Wayne? Little John. Yeah, Lil Wayne, Little John. And
what?
This guy goes as him for Halloween the year before starting school. Does it, and then like what? So we're going through the program, and he's like, "Man, I feel like so shitty right now," and I'm like, "Why?" And he pulls up like his MySpace page, and he's like, "This was me." I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm all, but now you know though, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm never gonna do that again. And I'm like, oh man,
Sipping on that yak, son.
yeah.
My last point on this would be I grew up in this lakeside, right? And this was like a kind of a countryside to San Diego. Primarily white, but we had a Native American culture and a Hispanic community.
Mhm.
And so I had spent my summers with my mom when she moved out of that town in Mexico with her. So I spent a lot of time in Mexico. 6-hour Catholic mass when you don't speak Spanish is the worst fucking torture known to man. But yeah,
Even if you
but
did
they would have
understand it,
these,
that sounds terrible.
they'd have these for Cinco de Mayo Mexican celebrations at the school. So eventually I come back to Lakeside to live with my father. I go to here and I'm sitting there and there's all these white kids in like big fucking mustaches, bro, and like giant fucking Three Amigos hats. And I'm just like I just remember, and then I look at the Hispanic kids, and they're wearing. They brought at least like their cultural, like they had like the blanket they wear over their shoulders, like the Pablo, the Pueblo, whatever those fucking things are called, like
poncho,
ponchos.
Poncho.
They would come over. They would wear the
Luke
stuff.
Skywalker has one because he's a cultural appropriator.
They'd wear stuff when grandmama would come over, like that shit, and they were like, yeah. And I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't understand what that was. And they're like, this is, yeah. Because I'm like, that's not Mexico. Like, mostly, like, kids just like soccer. Like, like watched a lot of soccer anime.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, our town was mostly Hispanic, but we never really had anybody except for Cinco de Mayo when they pull all the Mexico stuff out. But it was pretty plain and generic when I was growing up. We had a good mix of everything, and everybody just wanted to be what was popular at the time. And like the first time I ever saw anybody in blackface was
so you did see someone in blackface.
Well, it was Ted Danson.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, Ted Danson.
That's the first time I ever came across it and saw it. And I still, up until recently, I didn't even think like it was a big deal. But
yeah. No, I mean, like when you know the history and then you know how it was weaponized and all of that stuff, and it's like, wow. But
now
you
it takes on a different form, and it takes up a different meaning. Context as well.
Yeah, that's where you go like, okay, now that you know, are you still going to do it? And they're like, yeah, I ain't ever going to change. You're like, okay, you suck.
You're running for Congress, son of a
right? Yeah, but yeah. So let's look at our Indiana Jones stuff for the day. Because
speaking of the '60s,
speaking of 1969, oh man, yeah. Hopefully Indiana Jones isn't wearing blackface in it or something weird. And they're like, hey, it was the 1969 though, It's what they did. Princeton, New Jersey, what?
It's funny when the Three Amigos show up in actual Mexico wearing that shitty fucking suit.
Yeah. Yeah, like
that's the subtext in that movie that is not that's when I realized, oh.
Yeah. I always would ask my dad and people I grew up with, and I was like, why are they wearing mariachi outfits? like it was, I get it. It was kind of funny. I thought that was part of it. Why it was funny was because they're not really wearing like a traditional like Western outfit that they would.
We lost Jesse.
He got canceled.
Yeah. My other question from Three Amigos was when El Guapo doesn't know what foreplay is. What's foreplay? And to be honest with everybody, I still don't know.
His head girlfriend has to school her on like, yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay, wait. I think Jesse might be back. Jesse back?
I didn't touch anything. I don't know why it left.
Yeah, it's Melon is just it booted Rob 1 or 2 times yesterday too.
Was it Matt I was talking about Three Amigos?
Oh, yeah. No, it needed to go Google what foreplay was.
I get it. It canceled me. It's okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
We made that joke. You're too late.
Sorry.
Because life is predictable. And then they go on to call me a lot of bad names because once again, it's okay to use my content. It's okay not to share the truth, but it's okay to share my content. So how about you just don't share my content, or you stop with the bullshit, or you actually know what you're talking about if you're going to make a policy, our Star Wars leaks. But thank you for culturally sponsoring me. since that's what we are. We're cultural sponsors of one another.
No content can be shared from MSW.
Yeah, except for whenever we are really bored and we need content. Indiana Jones 5 News tweeted out some shit that I loved yesterday.
Ooh, port stuff.
Yeah, and yeah, so this is pretty cool because that's Indiana Jones and Antonio Banderas' character, and they are going scuba diving. And if you remember my Pinewood report about what the sets that were built there, like that, there was one of them wasn't a big underwater set.
Yeah, school pool.
So there we go, right there. We got Indy and we got Antonio Banderas going underwater, straight up Jacques Cousteau style and shit.
Antonio Banderas is like the Jungle Cruise captain guy The Rock was doing, and he leads them to wherever they need to dive to go get the.
You watched that movie, huh?
No, actually, I have not. I just,
you
I think I took the ride a couple of times, and that was about it.
All right, look at that boot. Yeah, I remember when they actually, I don't know if I was talking about it with you. I was talking about somebody, but when they announced Antonio Banderas would be in the Uncharted film.
Yeah.
And then the trailer came out yesterday, and then I'm like, that's going to be weird seeing him in an Uncharted movie and then seeing him in an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, it's almost like he or his management were like, we really need to get some like big franchise action movies like really going here because it's been a while, and they threw all the irons in the fire, thinking like they'll get one, and then they ended up with both.
If he's in Tomb Raider,
yeah, they threw up crossover ideas, and this is the only one that stuck.
Yeah, right. But He appears to probably really play through a whole act of the film at least at this point, just gauging by what I remember hearing about what they were doing over in the water set, the underwater set. Mm-hmm. And that was an extensive filming. And so then here we are probably doing the exteriors of that sequence, I would imagine, and other things probably. But now, so we know that Indy has to go to somewhere in South America or Casablanca, and to find Antonio Banderas. The boy brings him there, and then they there's also some stuff. I think I included it. Oops, that was a mistake. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I accidentally hit back on the wrong browser tab and hit back again real quick before it kicked me. Okay. Double back. No, only way to find what I left behind. I must double back again. Double back again.
Now, is the Spanish flag there a real thing, or is that for the shoot?
No idea.
It's a hell of a bounce card, though, right?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say. That almost looks like that's not on the boat, right? That's like is that on the trailers behind there?
I can't. There's a pole, but it actually does look like it might be coming from the boat. But
yeah, it might be for the back of the boat, right? It's really kind of looks like it could be going up there. But
because if he plays a Spanish captain, then maybe he's leading him down into the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
where they would be diving, or unless he's like a Greek captain. But no, it's Antonio Banderas. He's going to be a Spanish captain.
Yeah. And then, this
he should play Scottish just to even the card with Sean Connery, right?
I feel like if these scenes are connected in any way, which they just very well may not be, I feel like Indy goes there and meets up with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So
is that her in the
purple?
Is it
Bridger? God damn it! I can never keep it straight. Jeff Bridges, Phoebe Waller, Jeff Bridges, and but we see them show up with the boy, and they're together. I'm wondering if we almost have like a Last Crusade kind of moment going on, where he needs to find her to reconvene with her in some way, and she's been captured. And as he's going through these streets, because I think she's on these streets with him in some of the stuff, but most of it not. But look at this rope, and
his lasso got limp over the years.
Yeah.
I can't. Map say? What does that map say there?
Yeah, what is that right there?
Sriracha.
It looks like it says
really into hot
Sriracha.
sauces.
Sriracha.
Yeah, he's down there for looking for the best hot sriracha peppers.
Yeah,
in all the world.
He's like, I'm here in Spain for my kinky vacation. I have
told you
rope and hot sauce.
It was quick. Don't you get it? That's why the streets are wet. Everyone's crying because
pepper will save the universe.
Yeah, looks cool though. It looks cool.
All right.
Definitely has more texture than the last film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll have to see though.
My buddy who's
cooking,
how it's being shot.
My buddy who's a director of photography was rewatching Crystal Skull and then like posting like snaps with little like comments.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that shot where is it Kate Blanchett when she first shows up and there's like these Russian dudes, but they post, she's put in post and her lighting, she's like completely non-lit, flat, but everyone else is in shadow.
Yeah.
And he's like, they didn't finish the shot, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, how did that get by? Like, yeah. They had the time.
Yeah, and there were even like lots of shot changes after post release that happened. Mm-hmm. I remember like visual effects stuff, like they must have been really like up against the wall, and sometimes you'll see it show up with the other version, with the old version of the shot instead of the like on TV or something. Yeah. And there was even they showed when they showed Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think it was TBS. You know when the truck after the truck chase, it goes off the side of the cliff. There's an elaborate CGI version of that shot where they redid the shot from Raiders. It never ended up being released on any of the like home video or 4K releases or anything like that. But they definitely must have like attempted it or considered it and decided not to go with it. And but that stuff exists. It's very strange. Also, I actually want to talk about a weird side rumor right now that I always forget, and it kind of sucks because I always want to ask Jet Lucas, but whenever I run into him, but I usually don't. He usually seems like he's busy, and I don't bother him. But so back in the early 2000s, there's somebody I know who is a big film blogger, who was a film blogger back then, back in the early 2000s, and big rumor that went around, and with that rumor was a bunch of other stuff that ended up kind of panning out and ended up being true. But sometimes people will take a report and embellish it. As we know, that happens all the time. But they supposedly filmed Bail Organa on Alderaan for Attack of the Clones, where he has his looks up and knows that something's wrong, and then we like see like some light, and then the Death Star thing, and they were considering putting Bail Organa into A New Hope, and it was, according to those old ass rumors, that was filmed, and they constructed the shot. It didn't work, or they didn't want it, they didn't use it, and ended up never obviously being in the film. And so, question is that a rumor that had legs or not? Did they film it and never do it? Did they do it and it didn't work, or is just not true? So, okay, so he said, so James points out that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in the photo too. She is. Okay, I missed it. I didn't look close enough, but that's why I got James here. James George Washington. If you guys don't know his middle name, but it's George. He likes to say after George Lucas, but it's after our weed smoking first American president. And then, so, okay, what does he say? White Rabbit says infamous is when you're more than famous. Dusty Bottoms. That's so good. Yeah, I love Three Amigos. It's kind of the same joke in Back to the Future too, but Back to the Future like literally like explains it to you. You know, when Marty goes back, Back to the Future Part 3, when he goes back into the Old West and Pink, and they all think he's like a Chinese circus guy or something. But,
I like when they come out to the bar and do that shuffle dance, and they're all looking at him.
Yeah. Jordan asks, is it true that Indy 5 is facing another delay? Unless something happened today and that you're talking about that, the movie has been pushed back into 2023. I think was it June now of 2023. So it was basically pushed a whole year, essentially 11 months is what it ended up getting pushed. So I think it was pushed to June of 2023. So they're going to have this one, you would think, done way early. If anything, though, I'm hoping it ends up being a really good thing, because as the movie gets to sit and they watch the edit over and over again, if something gets really tiresome and early on in that process, they're going to know that needs to be changed if they can. But yeah. Erickton, no good. Neither does El Guapo. So, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the only Rise Up film. The only Rise Up film I want is the prequel to Three Amigos, Rise of El Guapo.
Rise of El Guapo, yeah. Yeah, I would watch it. Okay, and then we have a video clip from the same Twitter account that was posted. And just a heads up, if you want to talk over it, you will need to unmute your mic, guys. And this video might be loud. I was going to cut the audio, but then I was like, those engines sound cool, so I'm going to keep them. Look at that little guy. Look at him go. Lots of motorcycle chases in this movie.
That's definitely overseas.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that I have to assume that the hilarity of it is going to be that Indy gets into one of those little tiny cars and he drives away, and then a gang of motorcycle toughs are chasing him down, and because he's in Italy or Spain or wherever he ends up in that part of the movie.
It doesn't become a real action scene for Indy unless he climbs on the roof
of the little car. It'd be good for Fortnite, because they'll be able to make that into an emote very easily.
Oh, you know that car's gonna be coming. You know it is.
Then he gets out in the front and puts his heels down to stop the car.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh no, they did that, Jesse, in Temple of Doom.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's
he
did try to use his foot. That's right. Yeah.
He had a hot foot afterward.
Old hot foot. But yeah, so Indiana Jones, they are still making it, and I have to assume it's going to be done. Like I said, like we're talking about yesterday, like it's just going to be sitting there somewhere driving me crazy, because I'm going to be like, I want to go watch it. But wait, what is Jordan saying? Jordan's saying, if he picks up Chewbacca in that mini car, I will die. Yeah, I mean, Phoebe is no Chewbacca. I'm not trying to say that, but she's not tiny either. She's tall. And so if they're both in that car, that's also pretty funny, because that's...
I almost wish they would have given him a dog sidekick this time. Like, it's the one thing we haven't been able to see Indy do is
derail Indiana.
Have adventures. Have adventures with the dog. Like, it jumps on his back while he's swinging the ropes.
I thought you said dog psychic. And I was like,
yeah,
whoa.
Why not? Psychic dogs. Sure.
It's that is the plot. Indiana Jones and the Intuitive Pooch.
Air Bud Indie edition.
Indiana Jones and the Air Bud who could see all. But yeah. And then did we find out if Mutt Williams is in the movie? We haven't seen any signs of him being in the movie.
He's
but if you put Karen Allen in, and she's just a very small, like, are you sure you want to do this? Because you know how they used to have the scene with Marcus Brody where he's like, Indy, you've never gone after anything like this before. And you're like, oh no. And he's like, don't worry, I got a gun. Which, by the way, he has no holster for his gun in this costume. And I've seen a lot of people annoyed about that. But I don't know. Indiana Jones is uses his whip, so it's fine. Whip people in the face. It works.
Yeah, they won't let me carry a gun to every country, but a whip, I'm
yeah. But Yeah, I have to imagine that there will be some sort of like moment, like how there at the very least, like how there was for Henry Sr. when they show him and the picture of him or whatever. So like I could imagine there being the Karen Allen scene where they do the Marcus Brody moment, and then the picture of Mutt is there, and he looks at it and he's acknowledging that he's going on a dangerous thing. He shouldn't be doing this stuff anymore or something like that. And then he goes and does it because it's fucking Indiana Jones and he don't care. Does what he wants.
He comes home. There's a note. I took Mutt. Bye. Oh shit. P.S. You're a child right now. I didn't want
to. Whoa. It starts off with Star Wars Leaks, our Star Wars Leaks saying that Indy touched Mutt when he didn't do it. And then she takes him, and then he's like, well, Antonio Banderas is cool.
I gave him a belly rub. That's what you do with Mutt. You give him a little belly rub.
It was just a belly rub. She's like, you had him collared on the floor eating out of a dog bowl while you stepped on the leash.
You rubbed his nose in it. Like, what? That's what you do to the Mutt. Like, I don't know. Don't. Like,
and then when he got hard, you beat him.
Whoa.
Wow. That went weird. But that's what happened. I mean, that's what Star Wars Leaks told me.
He started yelling Kali Ma. What was that about?
I don't know what the words he actually uses, but this kid in 5th grade knew I loved Temple of Doom, and it was the only one that he had. He had that one on video, and he would just walk by me at school and look at me and go, "Oh Gum Jabbar, oh Gum Jabbar, oh Gum Jabbar, oh Gum Jabbar," because when the guy's going to be sacrificed, he says something like that. So I don't know if that's what he actually says, but all Gum Jabbar is what this kid said to me like all the time.
I thought it was Num Shabbar or some shit, right?
Yeah,
because I couldn't know what he was saying. But I had this neighbor kid who was super young, and then one day, like, he's at my house, like, and he was like, "Oh," he's like a pro wrestling fan. Like, he's just like, "Oh, Rob, I'm gonna fucking do." So then I grabbed him, and I was like, "Oh, Kali Ma, Num Shabbar," and he's like, "Ah!" He started screaming. I put my hand on his chest and started turning. Ah! I let him run out the house. So last time he ever tried that move.
I had the Burger King glass for Mola Ram. It's pretty badass.
Those were good.
Yeah,
that's nice.
To see, there is a less I don't know if lesser, but let's say as equal on par sequel to Indiana Jones, like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where he's having still flashbacks. Like there's an evil Indy, like he still wakes up and the evil Indy goes out and creates evil adventures, right?
evil Indy touched Mutt, not good Indy.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was evil Indy. I drank the blood of Kali Ma.
It was the Sakura Stone who wanted all those kids.
No, not evil Indy. He can't have the 5 o'clock shadow, right? Because Indy's already got 5 o'clock shadow. So what would be the character's traits to tell them apart?
A little beard.
Like the mask, he's and he turns into young evil Indy, even when he's old. Like
River Phoenix.
Yeah, well, no, that's. But I'm saying Temple of Doom, Indy, 1936.
Temple of Doom. Okay,
yeah.
How will they write him out? My best stick has always been, since he has the camera at the end, photojournalist in New York.
He's in
not
Vietnam.
New York. He's somewhere else. He's in San Francisco, 1969. That's where Shia LaBeouf would definitely go.
Or they could say he found some loot, or he found some cursed object, and now he's gone insane and he's locked up.
Him and Short Round teamed up to find One Eye Willie's treasure.
Yeah, right.
Never returned. He changed his name to Cobblepot, and we never saw him again.
Chester.
Yeah.
Just a Cobblepot. Just a Cobblepot. Just a Cobblepot.
Yeah. and that's Data's dad. Yeah. That's Data's dad is. Yeah, it makes sense. It kind of tracks. Yeah, I watch that. Yeah, I know it's kind of in a weird way, almost a shame that Lucasfilm didn't do Goonies and own it, because they could just mash those universes up so easily.
Would you imagine if those kids had gone in Goonies 2 to like an archaeological treasure camp and Indy was the camp counselor? Like, oh, fucking these kids.
I want
he hates rats.
It's rats. I want them to I want them to make a movie about when Michael Jackson visited.
Chunk and used his bathroom.
Did you ever see that stuff? Like all the photos and stuff, like Michael Jackson there. Chunk, do the truffle shuffle again.
The people really did show up.
Yeah, it's.
Or it was the character from The Simpsons who thought it was Michael Jackson. Showed up at Chunk's house. Chunk he didn't know.
And that was Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah. But the character wasn't. But yeah. It was Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Missed opportunity. How's it going, James? I think James may hang out with us on Monday for a bit. Missed opportunity, or for the whole show if he wants to. Hans should have the Falcon belongs in the museum in DFA. It belongs in a museum. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I am trying to get my 7-year-old, who's actually turning 8 this week, to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark. My 6-year-old daughter loves it. She sees how it's essentially a Star Wars. You know what I mean? I mean, when you get down to it, it's like that kind of movie. But my son, he sees the old looking stuff and he's like, nope, won't do it. Yeah. Today I took him out for pancakes before school, got up some pancakes. And I'm like, want you to know now that you're 8, this is the year that you're probably going to like Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's going to be a pretty good time for you. And he goes like, well, all right.
That's no kidster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I always thought it was funny that it was the cross of Coronado, but was the guy's name Coronado? The guy that he was trying to get the cross from in the white suit in Last Crusade?
No.
But that guy,
Coronado was an old. Yeah, I think Coronado was like a conquistador or something.
Yeah, conquistador that opened that brought some Catholicism with them.
Yeah.
The guy, though, the white suited guy, is dressed exactly like the guy who runs SCTV. The character,
Dr. Jones.
The character at SCTV who owns the station rolls around in a wheelchair, but he's not crippled. He just likes to walk. But he wears that exact white suit with the red flower and a cane. It's the exact outfit. And I was always wondering, like, was that a nod to, was it Flattery did the role? Like, you know,
he's the first John Hammond.
They did have Dan Aykroyd in the previous one. Not that he was on that, but you know what I mean. Like,
he's the one who puts him on the plane. Yeah. So I always wonder if that was an inside nod because it's the same fucking outfit, or if that's just, I don't know. It's a weird. It's such an iconic. What movie did it? Was it Casablanca or some fucking movie? I don't remember. Treasure of Sierra Leone. You know,
Sierra Madre.
Sierra Madre. Like, is it from some movie that I'm never saw that?
If you have never seen Treasure of Sierra Madre and you have HBO Max, I promise if you watch it, it feels like a modern, fast-paced action thing for the most part. It's very good. Really good. It's really good. Yeah.
My wife hasn't seen it yet. It's on we have a classic movie night we'll do once or twice a month. So it's that, and she's never seen Animal Crackers or Duck Soup. So I gotta put her. She's unfamiliar with the Marx Brothers outside of what the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Wait, no. Oh. Give her a classic like Moving Violations.
I've tried. She will not watch it. Any of my 80s picks. So
yeah.
Like, see, we did a good parenting thing yesterday. We had our son watch Monster Squad.
Oh yeah, did he like it?
Actually, he did. He was actually kind of scared by it.
Is Fortnite scaring him right now? Is he scared of Fortnite right now? Because that shit is scaring the shit out of me. I like get on that game and I'm just like, oh, I'm playing Fortnite, and then like zombies like jump out of cabinets and shit, and like literally truly jump scare me, and I'm like, I can't take this.
No, he's been loving it right now.
Yeah, it's good. It's good though. It's good, but he's
waiting for his Captain America costume to come in the mail.
I stand Halloween? By. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
for Halloween. Nice.
Oh, nice. So the good Captain America, not the evil one, U.S. agent from. He's like, I want U.S. agent with the bloody shield and everything. Like,
no, I thought because he wants me to be the Winter Soldier, and I was like, oh, I could be the other guy too, because it looks like it's easier to get John Walker's outfit than it is the Winter Soldier. I have to kind of piece the Winter Soldier if I don't want to pay over $100.
And the cyber arm.
Be the Falcon dude, so you look like a ecstasy dealer in the 90s with those
man,
with
that's
those goggles on.
Appropriation, bro. I can't be in America.
Yeah, that's my only complaint about that series is when they put him in the suit, it's just a little puffy. Like they got to find a more slimmer way to get that. It's a little. Remember Tay Puffy? Those jokes going around when the Batman Begins outfit was.
Yeah, he just can't get as swole. I mean, he gets fit and he looks in shape, but he doesn't have that ability to get swollen like Chris does and some of the other actors to show
that's fine. I mean, Chris Evans in that first Avengers movie, that was a pretty slimmed down Captain America outfit.
Yeah,
I just think putting the pads on whenever you have an arm and they have an additional pad on it, like sticking right out, it's not the best look.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference between guys like Batista and The Rock and all that. They don't need that extra pad right there.
Right.
I think it always looks a little weird, to be honest.
I mean, they could just be super and not have muscles. It's okay.
Speaking of, I know he flies, but speaking of Monster Squad, I've always believed that David Faustino should have been the lead in that series.
You said that before. He really does think that. He says this all the time.
I really believe, and I'm going to keep saying it because if they ever bring it back, I think he's the kid to play the role. Like, I know he's old, but bring him back. Just say he was the kid, and we'll believe it.
Somewhere, Rob is deep baking a whole version of Monster Squad with David Faustino.
I am now. Hold on.
Like almost everybody in that movie, but the main kid, like went on to do stuff.
Yeah, the main kid is the problem with that series. He's totally forgettable.
Yeah,
but David Faustino was the right. Like, go watch the first 2 seasons of Married with Children and show me finer kid acting going on at that time. There really isn't. There really isn't.
Yeah, 80s kid acting was the bar was pretty low.
After Goonies, it was like,
who cares? Put them all in a room together. See what happens.
Kids are dumb. They don't care.
Sit through Punky Brewster just once.
I will say. I'm going to say though. I think the peak of kid acting was probably in the 80s. It was probably Fred Savage.
Yeah.
Wonder Years.
He's what made The Boy Who Could Fly like tolerable in between. Like, when's the guy gonna fly? But Fred Savage has all these like. Again, the David Faustino Married with Children kind of, where he's like got the army kid playing G.I. Joe and he's going against the bullies. That's sort of what binds that movie together, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Then again, Little Monsters is unfucking watchable. Like,
oh god,
dude. Oh, we should tell everybody about what a good Boy Who Could Fly Samaritan you are.
Oh, all right. So I have a special. I love this the score to The Boy Who Could Fly. I went to some radio premiere. I remember the day where I was when I saw the movie. For whatever reason, the movie stuck in my mind as being something I really enjoyed. Like but they re-released the soundtrack in like 2001, 2002, around there, on CD, limited, like to 1,000 copies or something. So I ordered it online, shipped to my house, and when I arrived, it had 2 CDs in there. 2 Boy Who Could Fly soundtracks.
2 flying boys.
Like, yeah, and so then I'm like,
stereo. Put one on here at the same time.
The whole CD was like limited. So this is limited. I'm like, that means I got someone else's CD. So I called them up and said I got 2, right? And they were like, could you send that back? Because we're definitely gonna get someone who said they fucking miss a CD and they don't have the ability to make more. There really was only 1,000 of these. And so I put the thing in a little whatever and mailed that shit back to him, because I just felt bad that someone would spend their time to get a Boy Who Could Fly CD and then not get it, like.
But what actually happened was somebody bought it, opened it up, and it wasn't in there, and they just looked at it and they started crying and they said, "I fucking hate you, Boy Who Could Fly. I hope you never cry. I'm the Boy Who Could Cry."
A lot of people don't like the movie, but it stands as one of those, like, you could watch that in that movie Lucas kind of back to back in a way. Like, it's one of those kind of melancholy teenage films, right? Which I was that was the time when my mom was not in a good place and then abandoned me. So like, that's my jam. I'm like, yeah, I want to cry in the 80s. That's my shit. It's not the Goonies. It certainly isn't about a boy who could fly. Like,
in today's edition of Mothers Who Abandoned Us, I get a Facebook message from my mom, and I continually block her, and then every year or so she makes a new Facebook account to message me, or just forgot her password and makes a new account.
Wow, she puts that effort in. Mine wouldn't.
Well, I mean, if we want to call it effort, I mean, is it effort when it's like, I'm sad, give me a hug, not
No,
I want to
mine
give
wouldn't
you a hug,
even create the page.
But I get I get the message, and it says, I'm doing well, no COVID, 18 months and no vaccine. And I'm just like, you fucking idiot.
Oh, no. So she's just managed to kill maybe a dozen other people and not know about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
I remember, like, this is, speaking of, since we're in the realm of childhood trauma, like, so my mom leaves, and about a year later in school, they decide to have us read the book, The Bridge to Terabithia. Have you seen the movie?
No.
Or read the book? So the book starts off like these kids, and they have this magical, they go in the forest and they have like these magical make-believe adventures somewhere, right? And then somewhere around the halfway through the book or towards the end of the book, one of the kids fucking dies. And the book's really all about how to live in a world where your friend doesn't exist anymore and everything fucking reminds you of your friend. And I just sat in class, and that's when the trauma hit, right? I just couldn't, uncontrollably crying, didn't know what to deal with. Everyone was like, what the fuck's wrong with this kid?
Yeah.
And I didn't have a way to deal with it, but that was when I was like, I know what that, because everything when you don't have your parent, you're like, everything reminds you of your fucking parent. You know, especially I lived in a house where I was only white kid, so like I look like my mom. Like, it's like, But that was, that was, so people, that movie came out in like 2006 or 7. And people took their kids to see it because the trailers are all these magical creatures and these kids going in a forest, and they didn't tell them, man. So they go to the theater and they killed one of the kids. And people are like, what the fuck what is this movie? You can find parents complaining. If you go to Amazon, read, this is a horrible film. This is not what they sold it on. Yeah. Yeah, it's the best. I'm like, it's when that happened, I'm like, 20, 30 years later, Bridge of Terabithia is still breaking fucking people's hearts, bro. Like,
is it good?
It's very good, but it's teaching your kid about something else. Don't look, it's like trying to sell Indiana Jones on like a historical accurate thing, and then they melt the guy's face in front of your kid.
Yeah. Wow, just like, all of these weird movies together just like had me have a Star Wars flashback memory related to her. And that's when I was a kid. I hadn't seen her in like probably 8 months, something like that. And it was Mother's Day, and we had to make white chocolate lollipops for our moms, like where we like put it like into the mold with like the little sticks, and then like it would, make the thing. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And so I'm like, man, my mom sucks. That's what I'm thinking to myself. And I'm like, I open it up. I'm walking home. I start I'm eating them. This white chocolate is good. I'm like eating it. And no joke, I walk up to my front of my stairs, and there is a box there that was just left on the doorstep. And it's a package from her. She's like up in like Stockton at this time or some shit. And I open it up. And I open it up, and it's like a bunch of like just stupid random shit. But there was I got a carded prune face, and I had never seen prune face before. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And this is like 1987. And I remember like, I'm
so
like
ways after the film, right? Like
way after. And
I'm
years
like, triple. Like,
and like on the old VHS, you couldn't even see him. You're like, what is, so I'm like looking at it. I'm like, that looks real. I'm like, what is all this? It was like a big trip though about what, who the fuck that guy was,
Now you call him white chocolate.
Now I call him, now I call him ball sack with an eye patch.
Yeah. I, every time I get near white chocolate in the 80s, there was this commercial for Nestle's white chocolate bars where it's this really weird, it's like when Peter Griffin made a French film in the Family Guy cartoon. It's this thing where it shows women diving into like white, like plain glass, like oceans, and it has this song Nestle, like, and it's just, I don't know what the fuck it is. But as a kid, I was like, what the fuck is this commercial? And then my mom go, try it. And I ate. I'm like, I hate this. Like, I don't get the commercial. I don't get white chocolate. But yeah, go look that Nestle's white chocolate commercial up and explain to me that fucking commercial.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Actually, all of this, what he's saying links into this. He's all James Washington says all the '80s films I watched in the '80s pretty much just starred Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, and literally after that, I get that box. I'm like, okay, I'll talk to her, and then so they send me up to Northern California, like Stockton and Santa Cruz and shit, like where she's living up in like in that area. And that's and literally that movie had just come out.
She was here in Stockton?
Boys. And then I go up there and like I go to that boardwalk and shit, and I'm just like, to fucking die here. You know,
it's the murder capital of Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Pixie Woods.
What
there was
Pixie
no
Woods?
Frog Brothers comic book shop.
Yeah, Pixie Woods is one of the places they shot Spinal Tap at.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like when you see the little castle thing in the background, and like there's a couple of kids rides and stuff when they're interviewing them in the movie.
Oh,
that's Pixie
okay.
Woods.
At first, I thought you were going to say, because he said murder capital of the world, I thought you guys had a place called Pixie Woods, and it's where everybody got killed, like where they found bodies. And I was like, so whoa, safe, but... Pixie Woods with dead bodies? I'm like, that sounds fucking metal. You know?
Fuck damn, I just started thinking about dead kids in the god damn you, Jason.
Yeah. But yeah,
who'd you kill now?
Spinal Tap. So when Spinal Tap, they go to the amphitheater, it's at Six Flags. I don't know if it's still there, but it was the amphitheater at Six Flags.
I saw Weird Al there.
Definitely in the 80s. And I remember going to Six Flags in like around the 84 Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I had already seen Spinal Tap because my uncle. And he's like, you're growing up fast, kid.
Yeah.
And we get there. I'm like, Spinal Tap? And he's like, no, Spinal Tap's here. I thought we were going to see Spinal Tap. I was so let down when they weren't at
no St. Hubbins? No.
Yeah.
I just had another flashback memory of Universal Studios, and they had a kind of a similar amphitheater set up at Universal Studios, and it was supposed to be like a Jaws show, and it was just a tank of water, and they would put a guy in a tank of water, and then they would film it. It looks like he's in water, but it was like a joke, and it was just really chintzy. And I didn't understand like why they would do this, but I remember a neighbor of mine was there and was in the show. We like saw him, and he ends up in the show, and he buys the video of him in the Jaws tank. But I think they charge like $70 for it or something like that if you wanted the video of you in from that day. Yeah. Weird time, right?
They made a killing.
Oh yeah.
So you were just going to get in the tank where they filmed some of the stuff?
No, it's just like a water tank, and they would like set up like a camera. I'll try to find it on YouTube if I remember, and just so I could show you guys like exactly how weird this was. It was like one of those things like, you know, like how movies are made, and whoa, it's magical. They don't need to build a whole ocean to film a close up in water.
They paid some Mexican guy to walk around, who would swim around with the cardboard.
Yeah, like it was just it was really strange, and then they ended up making that thing better at when they did the Back to the Future version later on. Mm-hmm. They basically got rid of that, I think, and it became the Back to the Future show, and it was like how they make movies, and all of those little things were all done using Back to the Future stuff, like the half DeLorean.
That's where they should have hired Crispin Glover. You know,
here's
how they made. Buy my copies of my CD.
Yeah,
Clowny Clown singles are available. By the way, I had my friend watch the music video to Clowny Clown,
mm-hmm.
Crispin Glover, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? I mean, it's in my head now, and now it's in yours, buddy." Mm-hmm. Like, and if you then I realized that's who should have played in Tim Burton's Riddler. Right? Mm-hmm. Was Crispin Glover. Crispin Glover should have been Tim Burton's Riddler. Like 1,000%.
Yeah. Been level 11.
He would be a good Riddler now. You know?
Yeah.
You know, or
he could still technically do it.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing in the video where he's just forcing, like he's making out in clown makeup with this chick in a clown mask. And I don't think she wants it. I think we're seeing something that should not be recorded. It's just
personal space.
He's all now I'm the Biff.
I send people on their birthdays happy Biff Day, and I send them like little gifts of Biff. Right?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
What I do. It's what I do. So it's how I internet.
I appreciate
how
that.
I web.
Yeah.
You'll get one, Jason's.
That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we don't really got much to talk about today. I kind of think we've kind of done it all. I think we might call this one a little bit early today and relax, but we are going to do a UFO show tomorrow, and it's a UFO / Flight of the Navigator episode.
She doesn't want to watch the movie.
She doesn't?
She's afraid. My wife is afraid that the reality of the film will contradict her memories of the film. She's like, I don't want you to take away my positive memories of this. So now I have to sit upstairs with the headphones and watch it on my Bravia, my nice TV. But yeah,
I rewatched it, and I will say the movie was rad when I was a kid, then aged out and got worse. But now that more time has gone by and that era and a lot of that stuff is more forgivable because the medium has changed so much, it's actually improved. And
I always thought it was a Disney Channel film. Just because it looks and like anything with him in the family, anything with him when he's like with Sarah Jessica Parker, like it just feels like a Disney Channel. I saw it on the Disney Channel, but I thought it was a made for Disney Channel movie.
It's funny that you say that.
I always thought it was too.
We got cable, and Disney Channel was free for X amount of months, and with it though they had launched a Disney Channel magazine, and I started getting that Disney Channel magazine while we had it for free. And that's when I first heard of the movie that it was coming out, because they did a whole Flight of the Navigator. It was like on the cover and shit. And it was like all the stuff in it. And so like I was showing my dad. My dad's like, that looks badass. We got to see that. He smoked like a lot of pot and took me to see it. And yeah. And then it came out and nobody cared. It pretty much bombed. And then it was a Disney Channel. That's the place where you saw it after that was there, and that's probably on one hand what hurt the legacy of the film. It didn't get, I don't think it ever got like that big NBC movie of the night thing, like when people really cared about that stuff and like, oh, I'm seeing a free movie, and they would sit down and watch the whole thing. Man, Jesse, you're just so rude, dude. He's like, bye, I'm done.
That's why no one remembers him.
It's like
because we just cut him off.
Welcome back.
It was Dos Amigos for a second.
It stopped our show.
Yeah. No, but if you do go back to the conversation with her, tell her the 80s stuff is aged funnier and better than you would have if you watched it 15 years ago. And so, and then the concepts are all good, as we know, but I don't know if she cares about that shit.
I got to get my wife. She said she never saw Daryl, so I'm gonna have to get her to watch that.
I Temple of Doom, but when we get to the dinner scene, she's like, I've been to India. Like, I'm like, you got to understand two things with this dinner scene. One, it is straight up a bit out of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. When they go to Captain Nemo's ship, Nemo wheels in all the weird shit they pulled out the ocean, and they eat weird food and they freak out because they're fucking American. I don't know, they're sailors. They would have eaten weird shit too, but such is life.
Yeah.
Two, let's say three things. So two, they're all under a spell. Everyone in this fucking castle is drinking the blood of Kali Mas, so they're not eating normal human. They're eating weird fucking shit because they're eating all this black magic voodoo shit because after dinner, they're going to go downstairs and rip out people's beating hearts. She was like, oh, and I'm like, three, the 80s were racist. It's like, okay, all right. It all makes sense.
Makes also sense. Like, I mean, going to India sounds rad, but I don't think she got to visit a death cult while she was there. So
maybe now.
Or maybe she did, and you're not reading between the lines. She's like, I went to a death cult and it wasn't cool, dude. Don't want to revisit it.
Always.
She brought me back some amazing spices, and I've just now run out of them. They're so good and so potent. They've lasted almost 2 years.
Yeah,
that's how good their shit is compared to what we get here.
Did she go for like work or something? You didn't
work.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, I would work. Yeah.
I would have gone, but it was work. She's like, the Taj Mahal is small. I'm like, yeah, you're also 6 foot. Like, it wasn't made for like 6 Westerners.
Right.
Like 500 years for people were smaller. Man.
Yeah.
You know, cave paintings aren't in giant caves. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, it's pretty tiny.
Yeah. I had to explain to my kids that the whole like caveman concept is people did live in caves, but not really like exclusively in caves. The paintings just exist because they were in caves and they were
that
preserved.
was their Starbucks.
You know, no,
and
but
they
it
needed
was like,
something where they something couldn't come up from behind them and murder them in their sleep.
But they had camps and stuff like that, and they would have fallback places.
Oh, Rob's gone.
Now Rob's gone. Oh, well, my wife is so cool. She went to India and all this stuff. Oh no, he's back.
See, for me, you stop first and you stop like this. And Jesse starts laughing and then it bumps me out. Yeah. Like, that's how weird. That's my experience of that scenario. So.
What's up, bud?
That's probably what it was like during the conception of my children too. Anyways, but
alimony.
Yeah, we're gonna do a UFO episode tomorrow. Jesse, if you feel like talking about UFOs, by all means, come on.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna do it tomorrow night.
Sure.
A little bit later, like 8 or 9, I guess, right?
Wrap it like that
Something
again.
like that. And yeah, tomorrow's we're celebrating my son's birthday, so we're gonna do his dinner and then come back.
Right, yeah,
we're gonna come back, and then once I come back, and then that's when I'll start getting ready for the UFO show.
He's gonna be Ocho, right?
Are we all gonna watch that Boba Fett documentary next month? Is that something?
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah,
I think so. Right. Yeah, I mean, if it's awful, I mean, I am gonna say, I'm to the point, by the way, about War of the Bounty Hunters. Just read whatever the fuck you want, you guys, and then we're just gonna start talking about whatever about it.
It's such a slugfest, man. I'm trying.
I know. I wanted to like it.
A slow crawl.
It has no, but it does get good. But I'm saying just like once you get to everybody there, it's cool. But yeah, it mostly sucks. Just to be honest. So,
and I hate being that guy who's like, I don't like modern comics. I do. I don't like these.
Yeah.
I don't like the art in most of them, and I don't sure as shit don't fucking care for the story. I wish this was just a 6 to 8 issue long series drawn by Steve McNiven all the way through, written by the same whoever wrote that fucking issue all the way through, and it was just a series you could buy that was fucking amazing that stands the test of time. Yeah. And they gotta stop Jim Shootering every every special fucking thing that comes across, because I and by the way, I picked up other issues of that Vader comic. What's the point of that fucking comic? I don't get it.
Nothing. I only bought the first issue and that's it.
I don't.
It's they
same with the Thrawn comic too. I didn't want to do anything else with the Thrawn comic. I just wanted to get the first one because I read through the first one and I got to the second and third. I was like, this is just crap.
What happens is they do 6 good issues. Everybody praises it. I want more. They got nothing. They keep making more, and it's a bunch of it's a 6.
Yeah, and the back end 15 suck ass.
Yeah, and that's kind of what continually seems to be the case. Like, but Afra is the other example. Vader, Afra.
You want to know what they should be doing?
And the Chewbacca one too.
I'm gonna armchair CEO this shit, right? Because what do I know? Because I know everything. They should do 8 episodes of the Bad Batch, but figure out 16 like what we got, and then give the filler episodes to the Marvel comic and let them release a Bad Batch comic that takes place in between episode 1 and 3. And so you get this comic that fills in more episodes of the show. But you only have to sit through 8 episodes of a fucking series, so it feels more complete, right? You're not being dragged out.
It's too hard to coordinate that.
It isn't.
Too hard.
It's like when they did Deceased. It's like when they did Deceased and they just had like 2 tie-ins for.
No, because here at Lucasfilm, we're too busy laughing at people crying on YouTube. Sorry.
If I can just lick those tears.
Oh shit! Yeah. If I can, I will survive another 4 or 5 trilogies.
I saw the deleted scene from Amazing Spider-Man 2 with the lizard, and he's like pops out of the toilet in the schoolgirl's bathroom,
like ghoulies,
and then he like pushes him up against the wall, and he's just does this weird like just sexual Joe Biden lick sniff thing. That's yeah, I don't know why. Why they even filmed it.
I'm editing it. I'm editing this.
They
back
animated
in,
the whole thing
hot.
too. It's just it was.
Are there any Pleiadians in there? Did the Pleiadians ever show up, or just the lizard people?
Just the lizard.
All right.
Just the lizard, Mr. Lizard, Dr. Connors.
We should. You don't know what it was like to have to put that lizard on a T-shirt for kids.
Oh, I feel
I
sorry
get the
for
style
you.
guide. This is a year out before the movie, right? I'm like, for real? Like, there, because guys, save your money this year. There's no bonus. Like that we ever got a bonus, but that would be the joke.
Yeah,
because the returns on you put it on, and there's nothing. There's no way to make that. It's in like a bold. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, this guy.
No, maybe him climbing out of a toilet would have been a good shirt.
but we should do a whole UFO episode where we break down all of the aliens, like the Pleiadians and the lizard people and stuff.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
That shit is both hilarious and fun.
Alien roll call.
But there was this Elizondo quote from that Theory of Everything show, and he's on it, and he says that they have 4K or whatever high def photos of UAPs, and you can see the occupants inside. They got pictures through the government has pictures of the UAPs with people inside, and that creeps me the fuck out. I'm not gonna lie, it creeps me the fuck out. Like whenever we're like, what if they're drones? What if they're robots or computer things? Or
no, that's what tall aliens.
But they're in there.
That's what pilots have been saying. There's a few of those stories where the pilots are like military pilots who are like, I saw these things, and then you looked in there and you wave, and they wave back. Like,
yeah, is it Russia? There was like this story where like a UFO is just over this field, and all the people from a village come out, and they start like waving and trying to get their attention, and then eventually, supposedly, the little people come out the top and are waving back at them.
Yeah, it's happened and multiple times.
Yeah,
so.
But once again, when you hear that kind of stuff, like you're like, was that an embellishment? Did they see a UFO and then they embellish? Like you just start wondering, you know what I mean? And there's a part of me like Santa Claus wasn't real. So you're like, oh, maybe, I don't know.
They
I don't
held
know
up a sign and it said Austin 316.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But yeah. And then you have like that one dude in Israel who like retired and says that there's like a whole council federation of alien beings and shit. But you're like, what? But then when you hear those little people, and they're like, well, okay, now when it's all little people, so maybe there is. That's wild.
Yeah, they are. There's 3 foot tall little people.
But you got the tall grays and you got the short grays, and all slaves to the lizard people.
They can shriek like Dr. Fantastic.
If they look human, Crispin Glover definitely is one of them. Like that's all I gotta say. Because if you think you can predict what is on his album in any way, shape, or form, good luck. Like he does these readings from a book that he didn't write, but he drew over. It's called Oakmont. And the readings are fairly PG, but they're so fucking weird. I'm like, I want to make a haunted house in my garage to have people walk through, but I'm just gonna play the readings from Oakmont in there.
Oh, we're gonna find out aliens are real, and they've been trolling us with William Shatner.
And Back to the Future this whole time.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
All right, folks, it's Friday.
All right. It's Friday, guys. Have a good weekend. If you are not having a life tomorrow or try not to catch COVID, come hang out with us and we will talk UFOs. Are you an UFO? Are you an UFO guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If you come tomorrow, we're gonna have a conversation about this. This is serious.
I'm
this
a
is like
fornicator.
UFO.
It's not about spaceships. It's not about spaceships.
Should have told us. Dig down. Get that scratcher. Come on.